Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lei'd Back Life Podcast, where we talk about how to love life, entrepreneurship, and improve daily. Joining me today, maybe the guest I've been trying to get on the show for the longest, Jenn Gore. I assume all of you know her. If not, you're in for a treat. She's awesome. She's the managing partner of Sweet James, Georgia East Coast Operations, and the founder of Atlanta Personal Injury Law Group. She now leads the Georgia expansion of Sweet James, combining the firm's nationally recognized success with her award-winning approach to personal injury law. Under her leadership, her law firm was recognized as one of the fastest-growing law firms in the U.S. by Inc. 5000 for 3 consecutive years. With over a decade of experience in personal injury, she specializes in wrongful death, trucking, and motorcycle cases, delivering awesome results. And she's super cool. Your firm's social media was so awesome. It is so unique and specific and it was great and memorable. And that's shown because Jenn is passionate about fostering closer working relationships with clients, offering compassion and efficient legal representation, committed to resolving cases effectively while addressing the stress that injuries and collisions have on someone's life. And in addition to this, because of how awesome Jenn is, she also coaches and mentors other entrepreneurs, helping them start or grow their business by sharing her expertise in leadership, marketing, and law firm management. And I see you all the time on now some AI things, doing testimonials and everything. So I'm super excited to have you here.
Yes, thanks for having me, Jordan. I love coming on and chatting with you about life and law.
There we go. So I'm curious, when did you know lawyering was your thing?
Yeah, I did not originally plan to be a lawyer, like many people that we know that their lifelong dream was to become a lawyer. My life kind of became led into the area of law after I was in a serious car accident of my own, and my boyfriend died in a motorcycle accident. Well, we had kind of broken up, but we had dated for a long time, and he was in um, a very serious motorcycle accident, and then he died. And then I ended up working for a personal injury lawyer as their assistant. And so just a lot of things were drawing me into the personal injury world. Previous to that, I really knew nothing about personal injury. I never knew anything about, the world of personal injury. I think a lot of people, they just think of lawyers as lawyers and they don't even know about the niched practice areas. A lot of people assume lawyers do everything. But through my life experiences, I had to interact with this world.
Well, and obviously, I'm sorry you had to go through that multiple different sides, but when you say that, it stands out to me because the way that you present is always so multi angled. Like you clearly see this from the lawyer side and from the client side and from the caring family member side. Like you have a very good multiple different perspectives. I didn't realize.
Yeah, I try to always view it from the client side. I was also a paralegal during law school. I went to night law school, and so I worked in a PI firm in the day, and I was a receptionist, intake specialist, paralegal, case manager. I did all the roles, and so I also feel like I have a good perspective on the different roles that work in a firm, which I think a lot of lawyers don't truly respect the role of the support staff. And that's unfortunate because they are so critical for a firm.
Yeah, and it amazes me that first phone call being answered rudely or being answered overly nice can be the complete difference among whether you get the case. And then so many firms are like, well, our lowest paid person, least skilled labor is going to answer the phones. And I'm like, no, that's a really important spot. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, so yeah, basically that is my history into personal injury. I started my firm the day I got my license, and the rest is history.
Well, and you're still writing it. It's
Yeah.
amazing what keeps you still so driven?
The desire to live to my fullest potential. I think that, as somebody who is ambitious, I want to see how far I can go. What does that look like? I have a lot of friends in the industry and a lot of people that I'm surrounded by who are really, really amazing and doing amazing work and they're inspiring. And it's like, hey, well, they're growing by this rate. Like, I want to do that. I want to see if our firm can, deliver the results that they're delivering. You surround yourself with really ambitious people and it's contagious.
Well, it always cracks me up all of the studies about entrepreneurs where it's that balance of like crippling imposter syndrome with but I can also do this one thing better than anybody else in the history of time, and the balance becomes so wonderful. So I love you're talking about potential here.
Yes.
I'm curious, can we define highest potential?
I think it's kind of like it's just it's this is what I found, and I don't know what you found, is that, and this is kind of the sad part. I would say 75% of people are not giving 100%, in whatever area, their health, their fitness, their relationships, their work life, their career. And what I find is like if you try to give 100%, you will very quickly realize, wow, like I'm in a small category of people. And that's really the truth. Like it's not that hard to be in the top 5% in most things. And like I did not realize that concept when I was younger. I thought, oh my gosh, it takes so much energy to get to that level. And I'm not saying it doesn't, but realistically, I don't see a lot of people striving to do their best, like in the average. I mean,
Oh,
we're in
that's
a
the average though,
micro,
right?
yeah, but we're in a niche world where there's a lot of people that are highly ambitious. But I'm saying just generally in life, I do think that a lot of people settle and they're just looking to coast and they're just, kind of in survival mode. And so that to me is not living your best life. Um, there's three kind of prongs to your best life in my view, and it's your personal life, your financial life, and your professional life. You want to have success in all three, and I think it's not success if you only have success in one of those arenas.
So, for the record, the question I was going to ask you before is what percentage of people you think are doing this? So I love that. Great minds think alike. We
Yeah.
got that part. Um,
Because people are reactive, wouldn't you say? Like you said the word intentionality, like a lot of people are very reactive. So they have no plan and they're kind of just fumbling through life, which it then becomes a snowball effect.
do you think like every time I watch any show, like any fake genre zombies, like there's always that person who's like the natural leader, right? And I feel like a lot of people though don't want the onus of leadership. So is that linked to potential, or are those two different things?
I mean, whenever you take like the personality profile, I always get that trait of like wanting to take charge. But I think it's more that I want control over my future. Like I feel like all the times when I'm like taking charge, it's like, hey guys, we got to like get ourselves together. Someone's got to like rally the troops here. We got to like, get moving. I want to achieve these things. I want to get going. I don't want to dilly-dally, you know?
Sure, but I have to imagine like not everybody wants to be the leader. So there has to be a way to achieve your potential that's not being in charge.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that every great company has an amazing number two person. I think that every company is trying to have great people in all seats, right? So you could, whatever I believe everyone has purpose, and your life's mission is to discover your purpose and to become the most expressed version of who you were made to be. And in doing that, everybody is born with different talents and skill sets. Not all are going to be the greatest leader. Some people are the greatest technician. They can work in a room and get something done that no one else can get done. But if you try to get them to lead a group of people, it's a disaster, right? So if we first start out that part of your work is to discover your life's purpose and then to become the best at that, to become the fullest version of who you were designed to become, that I think is different for every single person.
There comes a time in most firm owners' life where they're ready to make that switch, where it's no longer about survival. It's about how to thrive. It's about how to have the practice they've always dreamed of and the life that they wanted to live forever. That's what I help people do. I've done it myself, and I've worked with dozens, if not hundreds of other firms to help them implement similar systems. So if you're tired of doing everything and not knowing your numbers and having no idea where your next case will come from and worrying about how to make payroll, and you want to get over those things, click the link below and let's reach out to see how we can work together to help you achieve those goals.
So I want to dive into that. Last week we had Matt Burke from Zilometrics on talking about the KPIs for focused problem solving. And so Matt was like, hey, look, these are intake numbers, and when they go wrong, you know this is a problem. And then like take the same thing to macros and time with your kids. In terms of purpose, how do we figure out what our purpose is to then know whether or not we hit the potential of it?
I'm curious what your answer is on this, but I know for me, discovering my purpose took a long time and it's still unfolding. Like, I don't think it's fully revealed, but I feel very clear that part of my purpose is helping to maximize things, maximize other people, maximize myself. Like, I, um, do this in my law firm where my goal is to get people to their highest version of themselves in their career, coaching people up, helping people have success in the firm, helping people understand the data surrounding their role and how to win. I do this in the consulting that I do. I help people see, how to get to their next level. For me, I was very drawn to other people that were doing this. As you know, like we've had lots of business coaching over the years. I've dealt with a lot of mindset work, and I was always very drawn to that work. And I think it was ultimately because that was something I was called to as well. Even in personal injury, we help people maximize their cases. So, that's what the work we're doing. We're taking where they are and helping them to get the most from their case. So I think my purpose is helping other people kind of expand or maximize different areas of their life.
So full disclosure, I have no idea what my answer is for that. So that's why I ask as many people that question as possible. Like I
You have
very
no idea or like a little idea?
no. Like I know what my purpose is, but let me jump myself in. It's easier than trying to pronoun through it. So like the coaching thing is totally my purpose. Like I am 100% certain of that. Like there was the moment of total clarity. And then weirdly, when I look back, I'm like, oh, the thing I liked at my law firm was coaching up new hires. And the thing I loved about trial work was having people sit second and training them up. And the thing I loved about, I used to coach trial team at my law school. Like in retrospect, I can take that coaching path and go backwards, but I never had a moment where I thought about that going forwards.
You mean like right now, today?
Right now, today. No, I mean like to realize I never had a moment where I knew coaching would be my thing until I did it. And then
But
in
you did,
retrospect, realized there were so many other moments that led to this. I just didn't know how to see it until I was there looking back.
but you were drawn to it.
Somehow, yes.
Yeah, and so I think that's okay that it kind of goes with the idea that you should do a lot of different things to discover your purpose. Like that's your job. And so until you sometimes do the thing, it may not be as clear. For me, I know for a long time I was denying that that was my purpose. Like
Mm.
I would be like, no, other people do that. I don't do that. Um, but what ultimately happens is it's something you end up doing like without you. It's almost like the way it's been described to me is like you're doing it like without consciousness. Like I would coach people in my personal life, like Like they're like, I didn't even sign up for this. Like, what are we doing? Like you're
In
just,
a good way?
yeah, like you're just like part of my, I know one of the words that came in some of the work I did was challenge. I like to challenge people. And so I was always like challenging people and like, I was like masterminding my friends and like coaching my friends and somebody said like you should really charge people for this.
There we go. That's a good. Well, so the two pieces of homework that I give my clients the most is either one, a time audit, not relevant for this, or two, I tell them to go watch the Pixar movie Soul and just write down anything in the movie that potentially seems interesting for them to try when it comes to hobbies, interests, or, finding that spark that every soul requires.
Yeah, I mean, some of the coaching that I received on this topic was like to just spend a certain amount of time just listening to the things that you were interested in. Like people have lost touch with what lights me up, what gets me excited. And I also find that if you have rules in your head around what is not acceptable to be your purpose, then you will convince yourself something's not your purpose, even though that's a
Mm.
lie. Um, it's really important you pay attention, like you said in that movie, to like things that you're drawn to or like things that intrigue you or things that you get really excited about that maybe other people don't. Um, I was coached one time where, they were saying, like there was a guy who he loved cooking, but he had a rule that like cooking wasn't a reasonable career, right? So every single time anyone that would look at him would be like, wow, this guy's obsessed with cooking. But he was like, oh, this isn't my purpose. This is a hobby. And so sometimes we try to prevent ourselves from seeing what is really true for us because of rules we have from our upbringing about what's acceptable to be our purpose.
Well, I love that you use the word rules because, like you earlier, you had mentioned like working with your team to figure out the game for them to succeed at their job. For this, it boggles my mind how many people are playing somebody else's game, right? They're like, oh, that kid that picked on me in law school would lose their mind if I achieved X. And then you're like, but do you actually want X? And they're like, no, but it would really piss off that one person. And you're like, why are you playing somebody else's game?
Exactly. Like there is a good question as to why are you doing X if, you're not happy, Like for me, another thing, like I think you can get stuck in your head if you have someone tell you your purpose doesn't make sense. Like you have to be really careful who you share this information with. Um, but like you said, when you finally like come to it, you can see almost like tracing back in time how it's always been there.
Yes, but I don't know how to but I don't know how to get that but for doing it a bunch. But
Doing
maybe
a
that
lot
is
of
the point.
different things, paying attention to what excites you and like what lights you up, and what would you do for free if you won $100 million tomorrow? You literally have no expenses, your life is set. And now you have to just basically spend your time. Don't tell me you're just going to basically do nothing. You're going to have to find something to do with your time so that you have a reason to get up in the morning. What would be that thing? It may be gardening. That could be your purpose. There are people that have taken gardening to a crazy level. There are people, it might be traveling. I have a friend who her law firm does travel retreats all around the world so people can get CLEs in Japan. Her purpose is travel. Like, no matter what it is that you would do with that time, there's a way to like feed it back into your purpose. And I think, I mean, the real question is what is the difference between your purpose and a hobby, I guess, because that's where I think a lot of people get stuck.
What is the difference?
My view is that when it's your purpose, you're meant to make an impact in some way. Like
Uh,
you're gonna make an impact on that plane.
as
And
opposed to a hobby is receiving the fun of it.
yeah, like you're getting something out of it and it's fun for you, but I think when it's your purpose, you're making an impact in some way. Like, for example, there was people that I've coached this year that, you know, they said to me, like, if I, you can see the ripple effect. Like, if I had said to myself, oh, coaching isn't for me, and I didn't help these people, like, their lives would be materially different. I'm sure you feel the same.
Totally. Yeah, every time I get the email that's like, took the first family vacation in 5 years, I'm always like, your kids are now seeing the opportunity to be entrepreneurs because it's not the miserable thing that mom or dad does where they don't get to see them. It's the part of allowing them this life.
So that's an interesting point. When you talk about the misery of entrepreneurship that some people, did you have that experience?
So my wife telling me she was pregnant with our child is exactly what caused me to change my entire life. Hopefully before he was born, certainly in the first, formative years of his life.
And so, I think what you're describing is that there are some people out there that entrepreneurship kind of allows them to rise to a new occasion, like you knew. I think what you're saying though is so critical because I never want my kids to have the experience that because my mom owns a business, she's not there for me, right? Or we never get to have any fun. And if you don't run your business properly, you can get in a situation where every vacation you're working the whole time. Where even if you had a job, you would at least be off, and
One would hope.
yeah. Well, I mean, realistically, you could take days off if you're working somewhere. A lot of people we know that are running smaller law firms, they have bought themselves a job where they have no boundaries, they have no time for anything in their personal life. And that's a really clear way to get to burnout and really unhappiness.
My book, Love Your Law Firm, takes my journey and gives you the practical steps that I took, as well as some things that I did to avoid. Now in the second edition, though, we incorporate some stories from a bunch of my coaching clients, so you have a more well-rounded understanding of what it will take to run a great law firm. That being said, because I'm a lawyer and we wrote this for lawyers, I was told I have to provide a warning for the book. Reading this book could cause excessive delegation and might ultimately end up with you enjoying running your own law firm. I hope you'll check it out in the link below.
Yeah, well, it's hold on, let me talk about this week's newsletter and come back to this. This week, so if you're watching this comes out on Tuesday. This Friday, the newsletter is about team dynamics and effective delegation. So a lot of the Jordan Ostroff fun pop culture references, but to what Jen's talking about, right? Like the empowering people in their roles, being the right role, getting them the right tasks. So coming back to this, what in terms of that, I guess like how do we know that we have started down the path? Like to find the purpose, we have something that's fun, and now like we're gonna make these changes. You're coaching somebody to a better life. Like what's that first quick win? What's that first feeling that lets people know they're on the right track?
I think it's having an impact, knowing that the work you're doing is a lot of times when you're working in your purpose, it's almost effortless. It's like the energy it takes for you to do that thing. Like I was explaining the chef, the energy it takes me to cook and the dissatisfaction I have cooking. I don't like cooking. To somebody who's that's their purpose, they will find it relaxing. It's something that brings them a lot of joy. When you're working in your purpose, it's very close to effortless.
Well, and this is like everybody talks about the enjoying the journey, and like this is how you enjoy the journey, right? Like you do something fun, you make it a game in a fun way to get there, like so you stay in the game, so you last longer, so you take the extra time to learn the new skills, to stay up on technology and software and the million other things. You agree with me in that?
Yeah. And I'm not saying that it's not work because you have to put in effort and energy to achieve certain things, but I'm saying that for the most part it gives you energy to do this type of work. You are lit up, you are excited. You should pay attention to times in your life And one thing like for me when I first started off, I'm sure for you, like I did this for free for a little while. Like I did it and just did it as an experiment. Like, hey, if you're someone that loves cooking, maybe you cook a few things and send that out to people and, like see what the reaction is. Like sometimes we try to focus so heavily on monetizing our purpose that's really the disconnect. It's not that you don't know your purpose if you're really honest with yourself, it's that you don't know how to monetize it.
Well, and I think some people ruin it by monetizing it, or maybe too early, or not in the right way.
I think you just put so much focus on that, and then that becomes a distraction to like truly just really understanding what it is you love to do. There are two separate things. Figuring out how to monetize your purpose, that is a separate thing than just figuring out what it is you love to do.
Well, and that's why I like the Japanese ikigai. So it's like the four overlapping circles of what do you love to do? What does the world need more of? What is monetizable? And I'm blanking on the fourth one. But like I like the way that it breaks them into the four quadrants so that you don't have this issue where you get caught up in how can I charge people a bunch of money for the thing that I want to do instead of like looking at them in different quadrants.
Yeah, and the other challenge like I have, and I wonder if you have, is that um I don't want to necessarily work dollars for hours long term. And so sometimes, like, when you're doing something that you get so much joy out of, you are maybe working dollars for hours. And like long term, there's ways to scale those things where you don't have to do that. Obviously, like in a law firm, initially you might be the only lawyer there. Then you hire other people that are working under the mission of your law firm and they are, executing on your vision, but it doesn't necessarily always have to be you. It's, the vision that you've created.
Oh, I will be the first person to admit I don't have a coaching business. I have a coaching job. I just happen to love it.
Yeah. And, that's a decision. I'm just saying that I think that long term, there are a lot of people that get stuck in all these different questions versus just focusing on like step one, figuring out your purpose. Step two, maybe you're monetizing it. Step three, maybe you're scaling it. But they're all very different segments of that journey.
Oh, totally. The biggest thing that I keep trying to help people understand is your business and your job are two totally different things. Like they might be at the same company, but like how many attorneys really love the legal work? And you're like, okay, well, figure out the support structure to let you do that side versus like I like playing golf with my friends. So I have a firm that lets me go out and eat lunch and go to Topgolf Thursdays and go do all those things. Like I have created the job that I want at a business that I don't actually do anything business fulfillment wise.
Yes. Yeah. That's such a good point. Yeah. Um, and I think you got to go meet people that are living their purpose, surround yourself with people that are living their purpose. Because I think that if you're surrounded by a ton of people who are not living their purpose, that does have a kind of negative impact on you.
Well, so I get that. I want to talk s- about that from the opposite standpoint, though. Like, how do you know you hit your potential? Like, I
Uh,
think Eeyore is obvious, right? Like, the complainers who are sad about it, I get that part. But, like, the people, in terms of living to our highest potential, like, how do we know we're there?
I think it's an ongoing journey. I don't think it's like we got there. It's something that you're always striving for, but for me, I personally set goals every year in my personal life, in my professional life, and I'm measuring against the goals I've set for myself. I like to set really high stretch goals. I like to set goals that are like almost like unattainable, to push myself beyond what I think is possible. Um,
Do you
I mean,
have any of those personal life that you can share?
everyone should have financial goals, right? Everyone should have health goals. I mean, for me, when I first started out, I wanted to um, spend a certain amount of time in the gym per week. I had hired a trainer. I've now had my trainer for 6 years. I get my blood work done. I wanted to have a certain level of health. I want to be at a certain weight. I want to be able to lift a certain amount of weights. I want to be able to be very active. I aspire to be like an elderly person that's very fit. That for me is living to my full
I've,
potential in my health, right?
I've never heard somebody frame it that way, but I think
Yeah.
that's what we're all going for. That's what I know I'm also going for.
Yeah, that's like not, I don't think that was like a thing 30 years ago, but um, you know, if you go on this app called Inside Tracker, it will tell you your real age against your blood work. Um, and I can get that done like every 6 months. And, you know, for me, like what's a long life if you don't have vitality, right? So
Yeah.
that's really important for me. Um, I want to be able to travel so much per year. I want to be able to, do certain things with my kids. I mean, you can sit down and create a vision board for your life, which I have. I have led many vision board workshops. Every year you set a new vision, based on your goals for that year.
What percentage of these goals would you say that you hit?
It's so funny when I do my vision board, pretty much I hit everything on my vision board, which sounds crazy, but it's true. It may take me more than 1 year, but historically, I've always hit everything on my vision board. And I'm going to tell you, I talk about this thing with Steve Harvey a lot. I've talked about it a couple of times. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called the 300 Project by Steve Harvey.
Like Steve Harvey, or like a different Steve Harvey?
Yeah, he has like a video online where he talks
Okay.
about the 300 project, and this is like one of my favorite things. And so he suggests that you write 300 things you want to be, do, or have in your lifetime. Okay. And that sounds like, oh, that's easy. It's actually hard. When you start writing everything down, you'll get to like 100 and you'll be like, well, that's all I got. And so,
I don't even know if I'd get to 100. It's things you currently don't have.
be, do, or have.
But like like I like John Acuff talks about like a highlight reel, and so he has you do things, and then you have things you've already done, and like you put them in the highlight reel, and then you have like future highlight reel. So this is all forward, like this 100 forward wants, be, do, have of things that don't currently exist for you.
Yes. And so when I started doing it, I did 100 things. And then I was like, dang, I'm running out. So then what I did was I subcategorized all the categories into subcategories because I was like, maybe I'm too focused on certain categories. I should be more balanced. So let me see what categories are kind of empty. So I broke it into professional, financial, fun, personal love, personal family, things I want to buy, health, real estate, travel, personal development, legacy, friends and people, and investing in others. So when you break down all those categories, that kind of gives you ideas, right? But
How
what
many of those things are like $20 or less, 15 minutes or less can be knocked off? Like I'm just curious, like when you make that list, I just have to imagine there's some real
well,
low-hanging fruit in a good way.
the ones that I thought were low-hanging fruit is like things you can buy.
Gotcha.
That seems pretty simple, although maybe they're expensive things. But it's funny because I always end up hitting those ones pretty quickly because they are pretty simple. But personal family, like think of 10 things that you want to be, do, or have that would impact your family, like um, go plan a trip one-on-one with each one of your kids, you know? Like there's so many things when you get into this. Um, for me, I went through a divorce, so I really wanted to focus on like my personal love life because I feel like, especially when you're in a bad relationship or what becomes a bad relationship if you end up getting a divorce, it's like your personal love life is not like a prime positive area of your life. Or maybe it's been in the back seat, or it's just kind of like not been a priority. And so I was like, what would, if I could just paint a picture of like what I would want to be, do, or have in my personal love life, there was like tons of ideas that came in, to mind. Or, maybe,
Wait,
travel.
wait, can I just chime in for a second? And so, like, to people that are married, still do this.
Yeah,
Like
of course.
I am lucky that I am like a romantic goofball. And so like I still will be like, dear wife, will you please go on a date with me next Thursday? And like it's so nice, you know? And
Yeah, and
thankfully she says yes most of
I
the time.
I put on there like have a romantic photo shoot with someone I love, right? That's like so random. I didn't even have a person in my life at that point, but I can still dream that like that's what I want to be in a position where I meet somebody that is a viable thing that we do,
There
right?
we go.
Like there's things. Um, go to Paris with someone I love. That's it. Whether you're single or married, that's a goal, right? So this experiment, what it does is the purpose, what Steve Harvey would say, is that it's supposed to actually push you outside of your bounds because you have to get to 300. So it almost is like when you brain dump everything that you could possibly think, what's beyond that? And
Another 250 things.
what came up for me, because I talked to a couple people who did this, was if you had everything you wanted, everything, what could add to that? Well, what could add to that for me came up investing in other people. So once you have everything you possibly want, then it becomes about legacy, giving back. Like, what's the legacy you would want to leave? And, for me on my list, I have right here, it was like, helping some of the people that I'm coaching, 10 things I wanted for them that I could help them achieve. And making your success and you living in your purpose have a 10x factor on the people you're investing in, right? I also like can tell you I started putting who people I wanted to like know or meet on my list. And like one of them was Sarah Blakely. And I swear to you, this is so crazy. I put this on my list. I was like, she lives in Atlanta and she's like a really successful female entrepreneur. I want to meet her. Within 20 days, she emailed me out of the blue on LinkedIn. Like, I can't
Whoa.
explain it. But when you put an intention into the universe, like, it's very interesting and strange how it actually manifests itself.
How long ago did you do this?
I started it last August, so August of 2024.
Okay. How many have you achieved?
A lot of them. And like some of them will freak you out because they say you should look at this list every day. I don't look at it every day. I probably could get better at doing it, but like a week or, a month will go by. I've like haven't looked at it in a bit. And then I'll be like, oh my God, this thing happened that I wrote on here that I kind of like forgot about. And I'm like, that's weird. Obviously, I have my vision board on the back screen of my computer. That's what I suggest for a lot of people. But what I mean is like just even putting it into the universe, it kind of like sets itself into motion in a weird way. I don't know if you've experienced that.
Oh yeah. I the weirdest one I've had recently was I had a coaching client who's like, "Hey, I need to take a pause. I've got some stuff going on." And then the next day, my one of my, or I guess my only at that time Arizona client was like, "Hey, we don't do daylight savings. Like, I need to find a different spot." And it was the exact right spot, like from the other client. And I was like, "Oh, this is meant to be." And then, like by the time my client came back, it was back to
The regular.
the other daylights, not day. I don't. One's daylight savings, one's not. I don't know whatever one's which. It was like 4 months later, and now the slot had opened up because the Arizona person went back. And I was like, this is so weird because like these people don't know each other. They're
It's just
2,000 miles apart and I'm in a triangle with that. Like it was just wild.
But it's really crazy. I can think of another one that's very wild. I put on my list, I wanted to go to Monte Carlo, which is like very random, right? Why? I just put that. I really wanted to go to Monte Carlo. Within, I would say 5 months, I got invited to a wedding in Monte Carlo.
There we go.
Like that's also a very small percentage of like I didn't even know anyone in Monte Carlo, and this person I met like within the last 4 months of that time period, they're like, oh my God, I'm getting married in Monte Carlo, you have to come. And I'm like, what?
But I do have to come apparently.
Yeah. And so like it's like it's like I don't question it. I just know this is what really happens.
Love it. So now, like, are you going to go back through and update the list to fill in?
Yeah. So I do think like once a year annually, I update my vision board and I'm gonna update this list because, you know, it's maybe good to keep a version that you originally started with and then edit it like a second version so you can remember all the things that have occurred. But sometimes, I don't know if this is true for you, but my vision changes or my desire changes.
Oh, yeah.
Like something seemed really exciting, and then I'm like, oh, like that actually doesn't feel true. I'm looking for the truth of the moment. Like if it doesn't feel true anymore, that it actually is something I desire, then I don't want it to live on that list.
Well, but also that's liberating and immensely time saving. Like my child wants to be a YouTuber. I'm like, okay, let's film a video and then you can edit it and tell me if you still want to be a YouTuber. Like if you actually dive into that thing you think you've always wanted, you will figure out if you do actually want all the background supportive stuff that's required to do it.
Yeah, because I think that allows you the fluidity to like continue growing your vision of like, I don't know, like some things don't feel true anymore as your life evolves and changes. Like, I don't know, for like at one point I wanted to like own the building my law firm was in, and I like had that on my vision. And like as time wore on, I'm like, gosh, we constantly need more space. Like, I don't know that owning the building is like what I'm feeling called to anymore.
Unless it's a really, really, really big building.
Yeah, I just felt like when I thought about that, I was in a different frame of mind, and like my life experience had shown me that that wasn't something that no longer was that exciting to me.
Makes
And that's
sense.
okay.
Well, and that's like I always hate when like in all the Facebook groups that we're in, somebody will post about like I'm thinking of closing down my firm and going to get a job, and like a million people are like, "Don't do that. That's failure." And I'm like, "No. Failure is being miserable for the next 30 years because you refuse to try it differently or make the changes to make it work out or whatever the situation is. Like sometimes deciding to no longer go for something is just as beneficial to you as getting it because now you're not wasting all the time going somewhere that you don't want to be."
Yeah, giving yourself permission that that things can change and evolve. If somebody is feeling that they no longer want to own their firm, I want to ask a few questions like before you just jump ship. I do think it's important to understand the motivation behind that. There are some people that haven't experienced the greatness that you're owning a law firm can be because they've not hit certain metrics which allow them to kind of get to the next level. If you stay in a certain level of owning a firm and it doesn't evolve, it can be a grind. And so when people talk about that, I always want to get to the root of like what is really the issue. It may be many different things.
Certainly. I meant it more from the standpoint of like the willingness to change instead
Yeah.
of stick your finger in a light socket over and over again for the every day for the rest of your life.
I mean, yeah. I mean, look at I sold my firm to Sweet James, and that was never something like I was imagining I was going to do, but I was open to that opportunity when it presented itself. And I think remaining open to the opportunities that are in front of you is another skill set.
Well, and I think that's the benefit of a 300 thing list, right? Like you will open up your mind to what's the next thing you could put on the list or filling out the, 200 other things on the list or whatever it was.
I'm also a big fan of that, what is that Steve Jobs thing where it's like every day do you wake up and do you measure like how happy am I? Like if days and days are going by where you're not happy, that's the signal that something's not right.
Yes. And then please do something about it. It might be contacting a therapist. It might be talking to a friend. It might be, like the answer is going to be different, but I am so with you on the effort changing.
Yes, like I think that we need to listen to the signals that are coming to us about, hey, this is either really filling my cup or this isn't.
168 hours. That's what all of us have every week. It's interesting to me how many times I talk to firm owners who are struggling to do more, to make more marketing efforts, have more lunches, handle more cases, but ultimately none of us are living a shorter day where we can just create more time. So how do we do that as a business? We can scale up time by hiring more people. We finally created an awesome system, our complete hiring process. We're going to share with you how to incorporate AI and other technology into the hiring process to make sure that you have the best chance to hire the right person. So if that's something you struggle with, click the link below, check out our complete hiring process, and let's get your law firm back on track.
Well, it's interesting because like I KPI a lot of things. But at the end of every week, I ask myself, did I have enough time with myself, with my son, with my wife, and with my friends? And like, it's intentionally just the gut. It's not a certain number of hours. It's not like, it's just, am I realigning those things? And it brings me so much joy to ideally to answer all four of those questions with a yes. But even when it's a no, instead of it being like, well, but it was 3.7 hours, not 4 hours, like instead of having to numberify it.
Your gut. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think do you traditionally answer yes to most of those?
Well, I mean, I moved to San Antonio 3 months ago, so like the friends is usually a no. And then even with my son, like I think we have a lot of time, but we've gotten better about making it more quality time and by finding things that we enjoy. So he's got a baseball practice tonight. So like I am the 1950s dad playing catch with my son in our backyard, and it's so exciting for me. I hope also for him.
I am just bringing this up because I coach a lot of women, and I'm sure you've run into this before, but I just feel traditionally most working women that I know really struggle with this. Like if you say to them, hey, do you have enough time with yourself? That's a no. Do you have enough time with your friends? I was at a party where a lot of women were like, oh yeah, I don't have any time for hobbies. And I think that is a point to really deep dive on and think about, because there could be things you could do that could give you more time, and time is our greatest asset. If you're an entrepreneur listening to this, you have a pathway to get your time back. Now, I can't speak as easily to people that, work in professional roles and there's limitations on their budget, but as an entrepreneur, I know for me, I'm very open with the fact that I outsource a lot of domestic chores so that I have more time with my kids.
Have you read 168 Hours by Laura Vanderkam?
Yes.
It's so awesome, and the way that she like brings
Yeah,
being a parent into it.
here's like something I think about all the time. I don't know if you ever, so my kids will always ask me like, do you like being an adult, right? And this is like one of my favorite answers. Like, I love being an adult. And it saddens me when people feel like my best part of my life was being a kid. Now, I get it. Like being a kid, there's lots of fun things about it, but I think whatever season you are in your life, this should be the best season of your life, right? And it's a depressing view that like the best times of your life have already transpired, right? That's not like a exciting prospect to look forward to, right? But why do people say I only wanted to be a kid, or yeah, like being adult is no fun? That's like such a trigger for me when people say that, because it tells me that their life is not enjoyable to them as an adult, right? Maybe they don't have any time for hobbies. Maybe they don't have time to take care of their health. Maybe they don't feel balanced. That is a signal that something's wrong. If you answer being adult is not fun, that's a really big clue to you that something's off. And what message are we sending to kids if your mom and dad don't like being an adult?
There's no there's no better future.
Yeah, so I think it's important as an adult to have friends, to have a social life, to like your kids are looking up to you and saying like, what is life like as an adult? Oh, mom goes on vacations. She has a great job she really like loves. She makes an impact on other people's lives. She takes care of her health. Like, you're painting a picture of what that is to your kids.
The
And it's,
greatest compliment my son has given me. He said, "You're not really an adult. You're just a big, big kid." And I said, "Thank you."
you
And
are. I
I
mean,
don't know
we
if he meant it as a
all
compliment, but I took it as a compliment.
I think we are because your life, like, I love seeing adults that bring intentionality to their life and like they have things that are important to them that, like, oh, they still play on like a pickleball league or they do whatever. This is like something they do just because they have fun. Like many people have lost the sense of doing things for fun or their own enjoyment.
And 99% of the time, you can multi-impact that fun with something else, right? Like if it's spending more time with kids and finding hobbies, you can do it with your kids. If it's growing your business, you can play pickleball with referral sources. Like almost every single time you can check multiple boxes in this event and be happier.
Yeah, and I do think that there's like this self-sacrificing like mentality that like I have to sacrifice and I'm an adult now and I have to put my kids above everything. I mean, I think your kids are obviously at the very top of your priorities, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't go on a vacation with your spouse without the kids. That doesn't mean you shouldn't go out on a date night. Like people have gotten so like locked in on like everything is for the kids. I have nothing. Like I don't think that's a healthy mentality. You're telling your kids a very specific message when you have nothing outside of your kids.
So, let me talk. So next week, speaking of kids, next week we have Morris Lilienthal on, Mo Lilienthal. Mo is my sports dad. Like I have confided in Mo. My kid plays 40-mile-an-hour machine pitch, and I'm like, Mo, please talk me down. He's not making it to Major League Baseball because he can hit this machine. Like, please, like, keep me grounded in all these things. He also Mo's a personal injury attorney in the South as well, and he's got a show where he interviews like everybody in town. It's going to be a great episode. That being said, for anybody who's listened, Jen, to the last 55 minutes and is smart enough to want to connect more, hear more of what you have to say, hear more about the 300 project,
Yeah.
make a vision board with you, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
You can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find on there. Jennifer Gore. On Instagram, I'm Jenn Gore Lawyer. My email is jen@sweetjames.com. And yeah, pretty easy to find.
There we go. And seriously, like if you're not already connected with Jen, go do it. She posts some awesome stuff and it's just so real. Like what she is living, what she's talking here. And I love it.
Thanks, Jordan. Thank you.
So thank you for being with us, Jen. Thank you to everybody who watched and listened. We'll see you back here next week for Mo's episode. In the meantime, try to make your list of 300 things. It's hard, but it's enjoyable, I guess.
So worth it. Yeah.
There we go. Cool.
Okay. Bye.